So I've recently started a new position in Highland Radio in Letterkenny as a newsreader on the weekends. So because I'm still in college, it's a massive, massive opportunity for me to get hands-on experience. As a 22-year-old to be on air working for Donegal radio station, it's dream come true for me. The stuff that I'd be doing day to day, if that's what you're wondering, I got a lot of people asking me questions like, do you just go on air and read? And no, that's not even the tip of the iceberg. Like, you see these pictures, like my dad always said, it's just like a swan or a duck. They look so calm on the water, but underneath, like, their legs are going flat out. That's what it's like as a broadcast journalist. You have an hour to film and record all your pieces of audio that you need. You have an hour to suss out all your stories, to script your stories, to time your stories. You also, within that hour, need to put all those stories up online. So within your hour, it's not just a matter of printing out something and going on air and speaking it every hour on the hour. It's not that. It's sweating it down to the last minute, typing, and then running into the studio, sitting down in that seat, pulling down your fader, putting on your headphones and starting your bulletin. The thing that I like the most about it is that it's very much a train on the tracks. If you go in the morning and your first bulletin goes bad, there's not the opportunity to dwell on it, because as soon as that bulletin is finished, you're looking to the next one. You don't get a breather, you don't get a time to think about your mistakes. You just have to swallow them, know that you're not going to do it again, and rush on to the next one. It's an adrenaline like I haven't felt before. Like, I'm really big into sport, and I'd be a bit of an adrenaline junkie in other areas of my life. So for my career, to go in and me actually to be excited about going on air, excited when I'm on air, worried about words, it keeps me on my edge all day, and the days just fly in. But it's, again, doing something that I really, really love. I would hope in the next few years to just, again, build on this and move from hopefully radio station to radio station. Local radio is a massive, massive, massive advantage to myself and other young journalists starting out. The fact that you're being trusted to be live on air at the age that I am is just something that you wouldn't dream of in big cities like Belfast or Dublin or even London. There's a lot of people starting out their careers and they're spending a lot of time just editing audio clips for the first part of their career. That's not the case in local radio stations, where you're asked to do everything because needs must, and it's all hands on deck. It's all hands on deck, and you just really feel like you're part of the team. You don't feel like you're weighing anybody down or holding anyone back. The sport is there and everyone's kind, and it really is. It's a great family feeling. Because I've only started my career so recently in journalism itself, I can't really say that there's anything been that riveting to me. However, whenever I worked as my social media management job, I worked for a company that ran the show Artsource in the RDS, which was the biggest art exhibition in Ireland, and part of my role was to go around these artists and film and capture behind the scenes footage for the lead up to the show to gain momentum. I really, really enjoyed this. I'm really, really creative. My mum's an artist, so it's something that I've always really been interested in. And I got to go around some of my favourite artists in Ireland and just get to know them and interview them and film footage, go home, edit that footage and then put it out on platforms. It made me just feel that I got such a connection that I wouldn't have been able to without my role. My dad, whenever I was young, he always said, when he was trying to push me into journalism, he'd say, whenever you're a journalist, you get a front row seat to history. And that is always the case. Everyone wants to talk to a journalist. You get tickets into the most high-end events, the most interesting things, should it be exhibitions or sport, or, you're behind the lines, you're on the scene, you're there for everything that happens. So that's another massive thing that I love. Education-wise, I haven't done an awful lot to do with journalism. I started off thinking that I wanted to be a doctor, so I went and studied biomedical science in Galway for 3 years. I quickly, not so quickly, realised this wasn't something that I ever wanted to pursue, and it was maybe something that I was fantasising about just because of high points and money, whereas I had no love for it day to day. I returned after 3 years with my tail between my legs, my parents and my dad and my mum, and they said, you know what, maybe you need to look about doing something that's a bit more you. You're very creative, you're very energetic and you love people. So maybe journalism would be something for you. So I started the NCTJ here in the Northwest Regional College in Derry in September. So I've done 6 months. It's a 3-semester course, part-time, which allows you to work alongside. I can't even tell you the difference in this course and the course I've done before. It's so practical. In particular, we do a module called broadcast journalism with a man called Johnny Miller, an absolute hero. He is day-to-day brilliant. And it's not even the coursework that we do that I find that has it taught me anything. It's the conversations we have. It's the common sense that he shares with us that you don't learn unless you've been on it. Johnny worked for the BBC and he himself was a broadcast journalist, so he knows firsthand what people like myself need entering the industry, what's helpful, what's not helpful. It's not always, but like Booksmart doesn't get you anywhere in broadcast journalism. It's not an industry that relies on that kind of stuff. So I have to say now I've really found it beneficial. In broadcast journalism, we actually don't get the time to pursue stories, and that is the truth of it. It's not like in print where you have a week before your edition goes out, or you have all day that you can sit and find a story and go out and work on it. You're working on the hour every hour, you don't have time, you just need to find your stories, write them up and go home. Although what I will say is that a story to me that is worth pursuing is something that you go home and tell your mum about, or you chat about around the kitchen table saying, did you hear such and such, or did you hear that on today, or those are the stories that stick with people. They're not necessarily the stories about the budget or what politicians said this or said that. They're the stories that actually affect the people day to day. I think social media has been pivotal to my start of my career in journalism. That's it in a short point. I say that because the landscape of journalism has changed so drastically recently. Print is falling off charts, radio even is. We live in a generation where, especially people my age, we don't listen to the radio in cars anymore. We listen to Spotify. We listen to our own music that we want to listen to. We listen to podcasts. We don't turn on News Talk or Today FM or Highland Radio or BBC. It's not really in fashion with us. We're just a different generation. A lot of people now get their news from social media. Twitter is just at the head of it. TikTok and Instagram are coming up close behind, though, with TikTok really starting to take off. A lot of really, really famous journalists now have their own TikTok accounts, and I follow most of them, and it's a really easy way to access news in really bite-sized pieces. It's very easy to understand, very easy to go in. Without being a journalist now, people want to hire individuals who they know can take a story, write it, and can promote it across all digital media platforms. It's all about getting the biggest audience for your piece that you've done. Should that be across social media platforms? Should it be websites? Should it be on the radio? Whatever it is, it's all about engagement with the public, and tapping into social media is a massive part of that. So I would definitely say that a big bonus for myself is that I'm not the moon, the sun and the stars, but I know my way around it, and I'm learning as I go. So for someone looking to get into journalism, I suppose that was me 3 weeks ago, so I'm really fresh and whatever. My advice would be branding yourself is such an important thing no matter what industry you get into. Journalism is all about that. It's not about what degree you have, it's about who you are as a person. Are you creative? What can you bring to the table that somebody else can't? You might be coming out of a degree of journalism with maybe 40 other students that all got a 1-1. What makes you different? And make sure you hone in on that. People want to know a bit more about you, especially when it comes to networking and stuff, and especially in journalism, because it really isn't about what you know, it's about who you know. It's about the content, it's all about the contacts that you have. Like, no story is any good if you have no voices. So even getting stories sent into you, having people that you know in good careers, asking for advice, help. If I had to speak to myself, and I did, to be fair, from 2 months ago, or if I had to speak to you now, or to anyone listening, I would say, get on LinkedIn, make as many connections as you can, make an impact, draw attention to yourself, dress up. Like, I can't even tell you enough, it was just wearing bright colours. Like, I know I'm wearing black now, but, if I went into work in a full bright green suit, I get attention, I get chatted to. It might be the slagging or whatever else, but it's still attention drawn onto you. And that sounds so... It sounds so silly, but it affects people. They'll remember you for your energy that you bring into the workplace. Should it be your style? Should it be your crack? It's so much more than what education you have or what piece of paper that you have to say that you're qualified. It's all about your person.